Hey everyone, my name is Patrick Simpson. I'm the Children's Director here at Oakwood, and I'm so glad that you're watching this video. That means that you either currently are, you will be in the future serving with Oakwood Kids. So I want to say thank you so much for serving with Oakwood Kids. And on behalf of all of the Oakwood Kids team, I want to say thank you for watching this video. This video is our new emergency policy and procedure video, so you know what to do in the event of an emergency. So thanks for taking the time out of your day to watch this, to be prepared, and to keep our kids safe. So let's go ahead and get to our presentation here. So I'm going to share the screen with you guys so we are all on the same page here. Okay, so the new policy that we are using is called the Standard Response Protocol. Now, it does use this poster that you'll be very familiar with that will be in your classroom, and it all goes around these four icons here. Now, the Standard Response Protocol is now a shared lexicon, and that just means that this is a shared language between students, staff, and responders. It's shared with first responders, it's shared with students, it's shared with staff, and it's shared with parents. Actually, wouldn't be surprised if some of the parents are familiar with this, as some of our local school districts here are using this and implementing this in all of their schools as well. So, like I said, it does go through these four icons here and these four actions. They're lockout, lockdown, evacuate, and shelter. Now, each action is followed by a directive. Lockout, secure the perimeter. Lockdown, locks lights out of sight. Evacuate to a location. Shelter for a hazard using a safety strategy, and we'll explain what that means. Now, every action has very specific instructions, and so we're going to go through these now. When do you know that there's an emergency or when there's an action taking place? We will address the children's building using the bullhorns that are located in the front of the information counters. We don't have an official public address system or speakers through the building, but like I said, we'll use those bullhorns. Someone on our security team, most likely a staff member, will walk through the hallways and let you know what action we are currently in. So the first one is lockout. We would say lockout, secure the perimeter. Lockout, secure the perimeter. Why would we have a lockout? A lockout means that there might be something dangerous around the school or the church. There might be a criminal in the area. There might be some civil unrest, or there might even be a dangerous animal on the playground. So what happens during a lockdown or a lockout, that just means that no one comes in or out of the building during a lockout. Okay, what are students to do in a lockout? Students are to get into the building as fast as possible. And for the most part, a lockout just means that we're going to stick to business as usual. So if they're in a small group, they'd stay in a small group, or if they're in a large group time, they would stay in that large group time as well. What are teachers to do in a lockout? Teachers are to bring everyone inside as quickly as possible. Teachers are also to lock the doors. Now, of course, teachers don't have keys, but our staff and security team members do. But teachers, if you do notice that a door is unlocked, please notify a staff member or security team member as soon as possible so that we can get all of the doors locked. We want to make sure that our teachers increase their situational awareness and that they take attendance and note the time of when they're actually doing that as well. And again, we want to make sure that our teachers stick to business as usual as much as possible there. So that was lockout. Now let's get to lockdown. So we would say lockdown, locks lights out of sight. Lockdown, locks lights out of sight. Why would we have a lockdown? That just means that something dangerous is inside of the building. Maybe a crazy person, maybe even something worse, an armed intruder or some other kind of danger. So during a lockdown, what do our students do? We want to make sure that our students stay out of the corridor window. The easiest way for our students to stay out of the corridor window is if they can see the window. That means that someone looking through the window can see them. So we want to make sure that they're in a place where they cannot see that window. We want to make sure that our students stay quiet. This will be a little bit difficult with our preschoolers, but it's very important for our teachers to keep all of those kids as quiet as possible. We want to make sure that our students and our teachers do not open the door for anyone. Our staff and security team members will make sure that all of the doors are locked. And if someone needs to get inside of the room that is supposed to be inside of the room, they will have a key to unlock that classroom. So we know when a lockdown is over, when a staff or security team member walks through the door using a key to unlock that door. Teachers, Teachers are to make sure that the locks, that all of their doors are closed and locked. Now for our preschoolers, we have Dutch doors, and so the bottom half of those Dutch doors are always locked in all of our classrooms. So if we were to have a lockout, all our preschool teachers would need to do is just to close that top half of the Dutch door and pull down that latch to engage the door to, again, be one unit. And so the entire door would be locked. We want to make sure that our preschool classes also find another door to be behind, whether that be a closet or a bathroom. Now, a bathroom door does lock, but again, because you're already in the classroom and behind one locked door, that would be good enough. So please pick one, either the closet or the bathroom. We make sure that our teachers turn out the lights and that they keep the corridor window uncovered so that our first responders and police and security team can see that there is no threat in those rooms as well. And we want to make sure that our teachers don't slide anything under the door. If you slide something under the door, that means that somebody knows that you're in there. So please do not do that. We don't want anyone to be a target. And let's move on. We'll make sure that our teachers maintain silence as best as possible, especially with our little kiddos. I know that's difficult, but that is key. And then again, teachers, please take attendance and note the time of when you do so. So that is locked down. Some quick notes before we move on. If you have children that is out in the playground area and we engage a lockdown, and it is not safe to make your way inside of the building, we want to make sure that you find the least visible spot and stay low to the ground and remain there until you see Oakwood security give the all clear for that. So we, as a staff or security team, will always check the playground to make sure that there are no groups out there, but if there are, just stay there until someone gives you the all clear. Also, we are changing something in our policy. If you hear the fire alarm, we are asking that none of our classes actually evacuate until staff member or security team member asks you to evacuate. We want to make sure that there's no one that means harm while using the fire alarm. So again, stay in your classrooms and don't evacuate until we give you the call. And in fact, that's the next icon that we're going to be talk about. It's evacuate to a location, evacuate to location. So in the event of a fire drill, you would hear the fire alarm. And then the next thing you would hear is someone on the bullhorn actually saying, evacuate out of the building, evacuate out of the building. That is when you know to begin the evacuation process out of the classrooms. Now, real quick on where to go. We want to make sure that all of our teachers, the first thing they do when they go into their classroom is to find their emergency packet and also check their evacuation route. Now, all of our evacuation routes are a little bit different upstairs and downstairs. If you're on the front half of the building, you go down or go out through the main doors. If you're in the back half of the building, you would go out through those back doors and make your way over to the dumpster that's located by the pavilion or outside and behind the worship center. So please make sure that you check your route in the case of an evacuation out of the building. So what do students do? Students would leave their stuff behind. They'd listen for directions. And what would teachers do? They would also take attendance when they arrive at the evacuation area. And we're going to talk about that in a little bit. Now, in some instances, we might have a police evacuation, and that might be a little bit different, but we just want to make sure that all of our teachers listen and follow everything that they say. Students are to keep their hands visible. That helps our first responders and police know that there is no threat there. We make sure that all of our kids leave their stuff behind as well, and that they aren't surprised if our police officers are loud. They need to make sure that they command the situation and area and make sure that everyone can hear them clearly. Teachers are to grab their attendance sheets, make sure that they bring their old school brick cell phones, and again, take attendance at that time as well. We're going to talk a little bit about what's in your packet, but there's a red and green card that's in your packet that you will use at the time of an evacuation to let our staff and security team know that your class is all good. Now, real quick, one note for our preschool team that I forgot to mention. If you're in rooms 101 through 107, you do have evacuation beds. And so we're going to make sure that you place the children in those beds for quick travel outside, okay? So that is evacuate. Now, the last one is we're going to talk about shelter. So we would say shelter for hazard using safety strategy. Now, what is a hazard? A hazard is just simply a danger or risk. and we're going to use a safety strategy with this hazard. That would be the action that we're taking place. So what would we actually say through the bullhorn? If we were to have a tornado, we would say, tornado, get to shelter, tornado, get to shelter. In the event of a tornado or a hurricane that we didn't see coming, which would be crazy, our downstairs would go to inside classrooms, so make sure that you're away from any glass, any windows. And all of our upstairs classrooms, this is kinder through 5th grade, would make their way downstairs using the same evacuation route that they would during a fire drill, and make their way to the treehouse, which is the preschool ministry's large group worship space. And so we would have all kinder through 5th in that area together. We'd also might have a hazmat, and during a hazmat situation, maybe there's a chemical spill on the road and the fumes are making their way toward the church. We just ask that all of our kids remain in the room and remain quiet and safe as well. In the event of a tsunami, which would be crazy, all of our preschoolers would go upstairs, and in the event of a zombie attack, according to the CDC, would get a kit, make a plan, and be prepared. I don't know, it's just in the presentation. During a hazard, we want to make sure that all of our teachers listen for instructions and be prepared for the unexpected. And again, just like all of our emergency actions, we want to make sure that our teachers take attendance if possible. All right, now that is shelter, and that would be all of our actions that we have for the standard response protocol. Lastly, we want to read this quote. It says, "Peace. It does not mean to be in a place where there is no noise, trouble, or hard work. It means to be in the midst of those things and still be calm in your heart." Now, for us serving with children's ministry, we might know this a little bit more than most, that peace means being in the midst of the craziness and still being calm in your heart. The great thing about serving and loving on our kids at Oakwood Kids is that we love the Lord. And so we know where the source of peace that surpasses all understanding comes from, and that comes only from Jesus Christ. And so we're going to ask God to keep us safe as we are here at Oakwood, but in the event of an emergency, we are not going to be anxious. We're going to ask God to give us the peace. We are prepared. We know this stuff now. We're going to do drills to keep us prepared. But ultimately, we know that this whole situation and that all of our lives rest in the hands of the Lord Jesus Christ, and He gives us the peace to be calm in the midst of chaos. And so right now I'm going to stop this presentation, and I'm going to go back and I'm going to walk us through this packet. Now, this is what you will become most familiar with, as this will be the packet that's in your classroom right above your fire drill route or your evacuation route. So want to make sure that the packet goes to the right room. And then also this business card will have all of our cell phone numbers. In the event of an emergency, you would need to contact us. You have our cell phones there to call us. So the contents of this packet, the biggest thing and the thing you'll notice first is this poster that we talked through today. This basically just has all the bullet points of what to do in each particular situation. You will also have, if I can get this open, some Post-it notes and a pen to take notes on if you need it. Also, for our Sunday folks, you actually have an attendance roll and roster that you would use every single week. And so in the event of an evacuation or any of these actions, it's that attendance roll that you're going to use. But on Wednesdays or maybe another special event, we don't have rolls and rosters that we print. So we ask you to use these rolls that you can write all of the kiddos' names on there. And then if you have someone missing, you can add them there. And if you gain someone during an evacuation, you can add them on that list as well. The last thing that's in your packet that's very important is during a fire drill or any other type of evacuation, you go through your attendance list of all of your kids are there, you didn't pick up any kids, you're not missing any kids, and you're going to flip this card over to the green side and let our staff and security team know that it's all clear. If you picked up a kid or you lost a kid during that time, you take the same green card, just flip it over, and its red side would say help. And so our staff and security team members know that your class needs help to either find a kid or make sure that kid gets to the right place. Again, I want to say thank you so much for taking the time to watch this video. We want to make sure that all of our kids are as safe as possible in the event of an emergency, and that you're equipped for what to do to have that peace in those situations. Again, thank you so much. We are so grateful for your service. Y'all take care. God bless.